What's going on? So, have you ever been in a situation where you had to look for a specific topic, whether it was for your essay, research paper, or just something in general that you were interested in, and then you open your browser, search Google or any other search engine, and then ended up going through multiple articles, different websites, but didn't really find what you were looking for? Was a problem that the thing you were researching doesn't exist online? Most likely not. I was I was I was Googling like normal people do, just ask a question from Google and then see what pops up. But that's not the most efficient way to find what you're looking for. And once I learned how to use different filters and how to use specific words that would filter out things that I don't want, it really helped me first with how much time I spend on researching, and also um, it's just really good tool to know. I mean, for most of us it would be very useful, um, whether you're working, you have a question, you want to research something that you're interested in, or a task that's given by your employer, by your teacher at school, your professors. It's going to be very handy. Now, if you have a programming background, you probably know most of these things that I'm going to cover in the video, but regardless, um, I'm going to cover a lot of things that might come in handy for you. Alright, so assuming that most people use Google, there are different search engines like Google, but most people that I know, including myself, usually go with Google. Obviously, there could be better or worse search engines, but today we will show our examples on Google. So, first things first, I'm gonna cover two operators. The first one is and remember all are capital letters. Second one is or. But before covering or, I will show you something else, and I will give you examples just to clarify. So what is and? Basically, when you say you want to look for articles that includes two words, electric and cars or car, what happens if you search like this, which what electric cars? If you search like this, it will Google doesn't understand that you want to what you're trying to do. So it will bring up articles that includes either electric or cars, or it could be both of them in those articles. So, and also remember, you usually want to ignore these ads. It could be useful, some of them, but so we're gonna skip these ads, or we can use ad blocker. Now, say in this one, right? Let's see what we have here. Now I'm gonna search for cars. See, it shows 8 results. Electric. So in this case we have both of them, but it's not the most efficient way. So if you search for electric and then space and space cars, so this would be a more efficient way, and you will see it will come in handy in the next examples. So the second one is using quotation marks like this. So why do we use quotation marks? Going back to the electric car example, let's just say um, the article that you want to look for, it's a phrase, a specific phrase instead of single words that you want to search. So when you search electric cars, like I said, it will bring up articles that includes single words. So electric cars. But if you put electric cars in quotation marks, it will bring the exact phrase. And let's just make it a little more complicated. Electric cars in North America. Also something interesting. So here you can see that it says about 103,000 results generated. Now I'm gonna open a new tab and then use this exact phrase in this new tab but without quotation marks. See, it says 98 million results. Usually the less results it generates, it shows that your the way you search was more accurate. So we have 98 million results here and 103,000, so it's really good, right? So let's open one of these links randomly, right? Let's go with this one. I'm going to close this tab. So remember, we want electric cars in North America. Now, if I'm right, if I search this phrase here, it will show it with this exact same order. So I'm going to search for electric cars. See, electric cars in North America. Actually has two results. Okay, let's do it again. Electric cars in North America. Another one, electric cars in North America. Exact phrase with the same order. Next, remember at the beginning I said that you can also use, so the first one was and, the second one was or. So let's show an example. We want to say, we want to find articles that has electric cars or gas cars. Just a simple example, right? So this is how we would do it. Gas cars. By the way, this is not the only way, but it definitely works. Electric cars. And I have to change this to or. So what do you think would happen if I search this? If what I've said so far is correct, articles that will bring up, it will include either gas cars or electric cars. But since they're in quotation marks, the order is always correct. So if we search this here, you can see that we have the articles that will bring up, it would include either gas cars or electric cars. Now remember, it can also be and. So can be sort of like a comparison between them. Now again, if you notice, once we use and, it generated 224,000 results. But once it was or, nothing changed except and or, it generated about 30 million results. And obviously it would make sense. So we're looking for, when you use and, it has to include both of them. And remember, whatever is inside quotation marks, it will be treated as a single word. So this is the same as cars or electric and cars, right? Except this is gas cars and electric cars. So that was another cool thing that you can use. So parentheses, what's parentheses used for? Parentheses, you can combine parentheses with and, or, and also quotation marks. So let's type in an example I've written down here. Electric and cars, or electric and boats. So let's say, again, just like how whatever was inside parentheses would be treated as a single word, it's the same thing for parentheses. And it will look what's, so we basically have two words here, right? More than two words, but we have two sets of parentheses. The first one, so the first thing it will do is that, like, basically if you want to see how Google thinks, is looks at this operator here, which is or. So it will it will think like this. So first step would be we have or here, so the user wants to look for whatever it's inside this parenthesis or whatever is inside this parenthesis. Now, so the first option is once I search this, it will bring up articles that includes the word electric and the word cars, or articles that includes the word electric and boats, right? So let's just open one of them randomly. Electric. Right, so we have electric and boats. We have cars in this article. We sort of do, but it's not really related to the article. So that's one thing. And also you can use and as well. So let's see. Let's give a different example. So we have parentheses. We have electric cars here, and then or electric boats and cost. So basically, like I said, it will treat everything here as a single word. So you will see this operator first, and so whatever article that will show up now, it will include cost for sure, and whatever is in this parenthesis. So what is in this parenthesis? We have, again, so we will look at the operator first, the next step after looking at this. So we have or, so it will bring up either this side or that side, very simple. And again, quotation marks, quotations, it will bring whatever that's inside quotation. So exactly the same words, same letter. Electric cars or electric boats. So if you open one of them just randomly, see what pops up. Yeah, so I mean, let's see if it includes cost. Yeah, it includes the word cost. Does it include the word or the phrase electric cars? Electric cars. How about, well, remember we have boats, so this might be here or it might not. It's optional. Electric boats. Let's see. Search for electric boats. We don't have any phrase electric boats. So that's about it. Next we have negative symbol. So if you have trouble finding it, it's usually beside your positive symbol on your keyboard. And remember, you don't want to use underscore, so you don't want to use that. So what is the negative symbol used for? It's basically for excluding specific words or phrases. I'll give you an example. Let's search something like basketball. So for basketball, we have Google generated 1,900,000,000 results. Now, we want to look for something, articles that doesn't include NBA, say, right? So we use this negative sign, no space after that. So remember, search for whatever you want to look for, negative sign, no space, NBA. So you see, it's 1,200,000,000 or 20,000,000, right? So 1,020,000,000. Previously, before we used this negative sign, was 1,090,000,000, right? So it reduced results like 70 million pages approximately, right? Now let's go with another example. We have electric cars, right? Like we covered previously. Electric, can't type today. Electric cars, right? So it will, like I said previously, it will bring up results that includes this whole phrase, right? Now, you have to think about articles that are written, right? So it might compare electric cars with gas cars or other cars, right? So you want to look for sites that only include electric cars, let's say, without mentioning anything related to gas cars. So space, negative sign, gas, right? So we have 23 million results with this filter now, about 23 million results, but previously was 29. So this is very useful. Next we have this symbol here. I'm not sure how you can find it on your keyboard, but if you have a Mac, you have to press shift and then the key right below the escape button. It's in the top left. So this is for similar results. If you want to search for something specific, but at the same time you're not sure what exactly you're looking for, you know the area, but you're not sure, like you want to bring up similar results. So let's start with an example: salary and mechanical engineers, right? So we have, this is, by the way, my Google is set for, I will show you later how to like change settings on your Google, but it's set for US right now. That's why you can see this here. 73,000, approximately $73,000 is the median. Now you want to kind of compare or see other results. So what we've covered so far lowers or kind of focuses on your search results, so it decreases the number of results generated. But if we use this symbol, it will increase because, like I said, it will show similar results as well, right? So we have this here we have 3,670,000 results, but here was 3,390,000 results. Next we have double dots. So very simple, no space between. This is used for ranges of numbers. So let's start with an example. Salary and profession, just random words, not really, no specific meaning behind it, but I'm trying to find salaries of different professions in the range of $100,000 to $150,000 per year. So I'm going to use $ symbol, 100,000, and you have to use space, double dot, another space, the next number, or the start with the lower bound of your range, and then the upper bound, and 150. Right, so it brings up some articles, usually around, see, the titles are usually around 100K. Now what happens if we change this to, instead of 100,000, we change this to 20,000 and 30,000. Yeah, see, it brings up articles that has sort of this range, 20,000, 30,000. Next we have star symbol for, I think for all computers. For Mac at least it's shift and then you hold on to shift and then press 8. I think it's the same for other computers as well. So what is this star symbol for? Basically think about a phrase that you forget a few words or even a single word inside that phrase, then you use it. So let's start with an example. So we want to write an idiom for our essay, for our paper, but we forget some part of it, or we want to make sure we're using the correct phrase. So search idiom, and then you have to use this quotation marks again because you're using a phrase. So you think about a phrase, something of cake, you forgot. So you, instead of using something, the part that you forgot, you use the star symbol, space, of cake. Boom, piece of cake, right? Let's use another example. And then, so another example, something yourself together, pull yourself together, or was it something else? So you write down star yourself. Sorry, I said it right, but I wrote down something. So something yourself together. Pull yourself together. Boom. I mean, it can be used for anything else. I'm just writing some examples. Another example, under the something. You remember, but you don't remember the last word. Under the weather. Right. Next we have title or intitle. So in title colon. So what is intitle? Basically what we have covered so far, Google searches on so if you search for electric cars, it brings up results that might include in the main body of the article, the PDF, whatever, or the title. But intitle means you want what Google generates search results to be specifically inside that title. So intitle gas cars. Now, what do you think would happen if I search this? So since I'm not using anything else other than intitle, and remember there is no space in between. So intitle colon and then whatever you want to look for. It will bring up articles that has either gas or cars. I'm sorry. Let me close this. This will bring up articles that has gas for sure because it's right after intitle. It might bring up articles that has cars in the title, or it might not. So let's see. Right, so you see the title, gas vehicles. There's no cars. Gas. Well, this one has gas cars, right? Gas vehicles. Gas. Always has gas in the title. Now, what do you do if you want to include both gas and cars? You have to use allintitle. So instead of intitle, you use allintitle. Same way. No space between. Now, whatever we have here, it will have gas and it will have cars for sure. Cars, gas. Cars, gas. See? Very simple. Cars, gas. Now, you want the title of whatever it generates to have gas cars, nothing else. Gas cars. No space in between, no other order. So you change it back to intitle, and then remember we use quotation marks, so it treats whatever's inside as a single word. No, I'm not a robot. Traffic lights. Okay. Cool. Now whatever it brings up now, it has gas cars. No other combination. Gas cars. Right? Gas cars. Gas cars, right? This is very cool tool. I use it a lot. So let's change it to something else. Mechanical engineers. Mechanical engineers, right? Alright, next we have before colon or after colon. This is used for time frames. If you want to research in a specific time frame articles that were published between this time and that time. So let's start with a simple example. We want to look for Apple stocks and their prices, right? So if we search stock and price and Apple, right, brings up different articles. Obviously, how much it is today. Usually, by default, it brings up the most recent results. But again, it's going to be very difficult if you want to look for a specific time frame. So how would you do? Before and after. So you have to start with after. After starting point, before end of the period that you're looking for. So whatever you have here, then space after colon, no space again. So you start with the year. Let's say 2012. Dash or the negative sign. Month, I'm going to go with 01. Remember, if it's below 10, you have to use a 0. Or if it's a date that's single digit, you have to use 0 and then that number. So year, month, date. Just for simplicity, I'm using 1st of January. After, so we have after, done with after, space, before. Same way, colon, 2013, let's say, dash, no space again, month, 1st of January. So we have the month here and here. We have the date, the last space. So let's see what brings up. This is very cool if you're doing research, if you want to find articles in specific time frames. It's just amazing. So let's just open one of them, and you can see dates for some of them up here without even opening the article. So I'm gonna click on this one. You see it was written September 18, 2012, which is within this time frame. Let's open another one randomly. So this Forbes article. This Forbes article was written in December 26, 2014, a few days before our end, or our like upper range. Next one we have define. It's very simple. You want to define a word. Let's go with the first one here. Gasoline. Yeah, it brings up the definition, right? I mean, you can use a dictionary. It's simpler. I guess this is simpler than a dictionary, but it's faster. Or you can just write down define gasoline. The good thing about if you use colon instead, you can define like a phrase. For example, let's go with our previous examples. Electric cars. Yeah, so that's about that. Or something more specific, embedded systems. Yeah, so that's about that. Next, we have site. So let's just say Wikipedia, right? So you have to go to your website first, the website that you want to use, and then in the search bar, the URL, the link of the website, you copy that. You have to go to Google again. You type site, colon, no space. Now, the important part of the website is the name, and then .org, .com, .ca, whatever that's after. So you want to delete what comes after that. It just makes it simpler. This is optional, but it's also not necessary, so I usually delete it. So the name of the website dot something space, and then whatever you want to look for. Let's go with history of Europe, for example. History of, right? So it generated 98,000 results. Now every single result that's generated, you can see the website up here, all Wikipedia. It's very cool, right? And obviously it includes history of Europe. Now let's include some of the things that we learned previously. Let's actually go with a different website. So history of Europe. Okay, let's see what we have in this link here. Oh, it's kind of slow, so let's go with a different one. Oh, it's the same. Anyways, yeah. So you search first, and then you're like, okay, this is seems like a cool website. Usually on the top left, you can. Yeah, I don't know what this is. My computer is very slow today. So it's going back to the previous example, Wikipedia, right? But instead, you want Europe to be in the title, right? For example, or history of Europe. So you use intitle colon. So remember, there's a space after whatever it's in front of your site, space and title, no space here, again no space here. So let's see what we get. It obviously lowered the results to only 221 results here. You can see it's in Wikipedia, and it has history of Europe in the title, which is very specific. Next one, file type. This is very important, especially if you're in university. Most of the websites that you look for, search for articles, they're not going to be acceptable if you're writing a paper, because they're not academic, or they might be advertisements. For example, you want to research batteries, let's say, and you look for different information about batteries on websites, but if you use specific information from a website, even if it's really good, that they sell those types of batteries, it's not going to be good for your references. So there are different ways to really find academic articles. The best one is Google Scholar, but we're not going to cover that today. So file type, how many different file types we have? So for example, let's go with PDF, right? Electric cars, right? So it brings up electric cars, and you can see the type. It only brings up PDF, right? Now, what about if you want to find PowerPoints? So PowerPoint is PPT. You change that to PPT, and let's open. You see PPT now. Randomly, I'm gonna open one of them. It will download it on my desktop. Yeah, and then we can open that document. It's a PowerPoint. Now, what about Word? You want to type in doc or docx, electric cars. Now you see, now it's doc. This is only Word files. It's downloading slowly. So you can see it here. It's a Word file now. Now, what about if you want to only look for articles online? So no PDF, docs, or PowerPoint. You have to type in HTML. So they're all online sources now. Very simple and straightforward.